1.4 million patients just had their most intimate medical records stolen, all because of a single phishing email. Imagine your social security number and your medical history, just floating around for 134 days before anyone even warns you.
Yeah, it's a massive failure.
And the twist. Your hospital might have actually stopped working with the breached company 5 years ago. So in this deep dive, we were pulling from cybersecurity incident reports, legal filings in Johnson v. Xsolis, and tech analysis to figure out how a simple email brought down a massive healthcare network.
Right. So the target here is an artificial intelligence vendor called Xsolis. They run this predictive platform called Dragonfly,
which analyzes patient data for hospitals.
Exactly. It analyzes real-time clinical data to make medical necessity decisions for over 600 hospital networks. I mean,
Right.
We are talking about massive players like Mayo Clinic and UW Medicine.
Wow. Okay.
And because of how machine learning works, Xsolis basically operates as a centralized giant. They pull in incredibly sensitive clinical databases from all these different hospitals.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. Because on January 20, 2026, the break-in happens. And a threat actor didn't use some highly sophisticated zero-day virus, right?
No, nothing like that.
They just sent a phishing email. They tricked an employee into handing over their login credentials. I mean, it is like trusting a valet with your car keys, only for the valet to get tricked into letting a thief copy them. And now the thief has full access to the hospital's entire garage.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It was a classic social engineering exploit. And what is terrifying is what happened next. That stolen password let the intruder completely bypass the outer security perimeter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, once they were inside the network, they just moved laterally. They wandered through the internal IT environment for 2 full days before Xsolis finally detected the anomaly on January 22.
2 days just wandering around unlocked files.
Literally. And what's fascinating here is how data minimization inconsistencies changed the stakes. So UW Medicine was smart. They withheld social security numbers from Xsolis.
Oh, so the thief only saw medical record numbers and clinical notes for those patients.
Right. But other hospital networks transferred full social security numbers right into that vulnerable system, which drastically increases the risk of financial identity theft for you, the patient.
But here is where it gets really interesting. The Rochester Regional Health twist. They terminated their Xsolis contract back in 2021, yet 18,600 of their patients were still exposed in this attack. I just don't understand why vendors are allowed to hoard inactive legacy data indefinitely.
Well, this is the core paradox of modern medical AI, and it is driving a massive wave of class action lawsuits right now. Predictive AI inherently requires massive historical data sets to function accurately.
Right, because the algorithm has to learn from the past.
Exactly. If vendors delete old data the second a contract ends, their AI models lose the historical context they need to make accurate predictions. So companies are incentivized to hoard everything.
Which directly violates the basic cybersecurity principle of keeping only the data you currently need.
So you're saying the very thing that makes the AI smart is exactly what makes it a massive liability. Precisely. And compounding that liability is the regulatory latency. Xsolis contained the breach in January, but they didn't notify the HHS or the public until June 5.
Wait, 134 days later?
Yes, a 134-day gap. That massive delay completely prevented patients from freezing their credit or taking basic protective actions.
Over 4 months. So what does this all mean? Even if you have never heard of a third-party vendor like Xsolis, your most private data is sitting in their hands right now. You have to actively monitor your explanation of benefits and credit reports for medical identity theft.
Because you might be the last to know if someone is using your identity to get medical care.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it leaves us with an incredibly difficult question. As healthcare increasingly relies on predictive AI, which inherently requires massive historical data sets to function, is true data minimization even possible in modern medicine? Or are these massive centralized breaches just the unavoidable cost of medical innovation?